Hello, and welcome to the turbulent world with me, James M. Dorsey, as your host. Don't hold your breath. US President Donald Trump's silencing of Iranian and Israeli guns is fragile at best. For starters, Iran rejects the notion of a ceasefire, even if it has agreed to halt the hostilities. Iran has insisted from day one of the Israeli assault that it would only stop retaliation for Israeli strikes once Israel halts its attacks. As far as Iran is concerned, that is what Iran is doing in response to Mr. Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's labeling the halt of hostilities as a ceasefire. As Iran has repeatedly made clear, Israel launched war on Iran, not the other way round. As of now, there is no agreement on any ceasefire, Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi said on X. However, provided that the Israeli regime stops its illegal aggression against the Iranian people, we have no intention to continue our response afterward, Mr. Araghchi added. Even so, an Iranian missile fired at Israel minutes after the halt of hostilities went into effect, and Israel's destruction of a radar in northern Iran in response demonstrated the halt's fragility and provoked Mr. Trump's ire. Bowing to Mr. Trump's demand that Israel restrain itself, Mr. Netanyahu called back Israeli fighter jets, making their way to other Iranian targets. Mr. Trump's anger outburst indicated the degree to which the president can stop Israel from violating the ceasefire by striking at will whenever it feels that Iran is raising its head, by, for example, attempting to rebuild its nuclear program or replenish its missile arsenal. Israel has consistently insisted that it has the right to strike whenever it feels that is warranted, as it does in Lebanon, despite the November 2024 ceasefire with Hezbollah, the Iran-backed Shiite Muslim militia, and in Syria. For Israel, the risk is you have to sit and watch as some targets appear that you would have wanted to strike but now can't, said former Senior Director for Middle East Affairs at the National Security Council, Michael Singh. Maybe they have to watch as Iran tries to rebuild its nuclear program, and they have to now put a lot of trust and hope in the United States to be able to deliver some kind of diplomatic agreement that preserves the gains that you have made militarily, Mr. Singh added. Mr. Singh put his finger on the pulse, with Iran determined to rebuild its nuclear program and likely still in possession of 410 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity. The uranium, if further enriched, would be enough for 9 nuclear warheads. To be sure, the US and Israeli attacks have caused substantial damage to Iran's nuclear infrastructure, despite questions about the degree of damage and the whereabouts of the highly enriched uranium. Also unclear as to what degree the US and Israeli strikes have impeded Iran's ability to enrich, leaving aside whether Iran would want to further enrich the 410 kilograms. Iran has consistently denied wanting to have nuclear weapons. An initial US Defense Intelligence Agency assessment, denounced by the White House as flat out wrong, concluded that the US strikes at 3 Iranian nuclear facilities did not destroy core components of the country's nuclear program, and likely only set it back by months. Meanwhile, a growing body of Iranian voices suggests that the strikes, coupled with the near collapse of Iran's forward defense strategy, based on non-state allies in Lebanon and Palestine, and former President Bashar al-Assad's Syria, make nuclear weapons Iran's best option to re-establish deterrence. Iran's potential withdrawal from the Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT, could embolden those who advocate for developing nuclear weapons. By the same token, Iran's axis of resistance may be down, but is not out. A senior political official of the Houthi militant group in Yemen said, that they are not bound by the Israel-Iran halt of hostilities, asserting they would continue their attacks until the aggression against Gaza stops and the siege is lifted. The Houthis could provoke a breakdown of the ceasefire by targeting the U.S. Navy and international shipping in Gulf waters. In the same vein, it is hard to determine to what degree Israel may have diminished Iran's ballistic missile arsenal and ability to replenish it. Nevertheless, Iranian missile barrages highlighted weaknesses in Israel's air defenses, causing significant damages when they evaded the multi-layered anti-missile system. Similarly, Israel struck at multiple Iranian non-nuclear targets, including police, cyber police, Basij militia, state television, and Red Crescent Society headquarters, the entrance to Tehran's notorious Evin prison, a power grid in the northern part of the Iranian capital, and a natural gas processing facility and gas refinery in Bushehr province. The strikes demonstrated Israel's ability to hit whatever it fancies, including targets that could significantly impact the Iranian ruler's grip on power. Iran this week executed 3 people on charges of spying for Israel and earlier executed another 3. Iran allegedly has arrested 700 people on suspicion of collaborating with Israel. The strikes followed a long, familiar Israeli pattern that operates on the principle that sledgehammers and overwhelming force will whip opponents into submission. It's a pattern applied to the Palestinians for decades that has failed to produce results. So far, there is no indication that it has worked in Iran, despite Messrs. Trump and Netanyahu's veiled assertions that it may have. The halt of hostilities is likely to remain fragile, even if it leads to a resumption of U.S.-Iranian negotiations, given that there is no indication that Mr. Trump will drop his demand that Iran unconditionally surrender and give up its right to enrich uranium to 3.67%. Similarly, there is no suggestion that Iran would agree to restrictions on its missile program. Moreover, it remains unclear whether the halt to hostilities involved incentives for Israel and Iran to acquiesce. For example, regarding whether Israel retains the ability to strike unilaterally when it deems necessary, or a pledge by Israel to end the Gaza war that is certain to return to center stage if the halt is sustainable. There is still much uncertainty surrounding the ceasefire and what it means going forward for Israel, Iran, and other regional actors, said journalist Amos Tibor. Thank you for joining me today. The Turbulent World with James M. Dorsey seeks to empower readers, listeners, and viewers to form informed opinions of their own. Equitable, fair, and honest analysis that lets the chips fall where they fall has seldom been more important in a world racked by brutal wars, unimaginable humanitarian crises, and increasing authoritarianism. If you share this vision, please consider becoming a paid subscriber by going to jamesmdorsey.substack.com. The Turbulent World can only sustain and expand its independent coverage free of advertisements and clickbait with the support of its readers. Thank you for your support and loyalty. Take care and best wishes.